let's take a look at calculating the future value of a single sum. In this example I'm going to work on, we assume that we have $1,000 to invest. The interest we're going to earn is 12% per annum, and we're going to keep the money invested for a period of 10 years. So I'm going to show you how you can do this calculation 3 different ways. If I have a spreadsheet as I do over here, I could set up a table and we can work our way through the calculations. So I have the first column for the number of periods I'm going to work through, 5 periods that I'm going to keep the money aside, the amount of money I have at the start of each of these periods, the interest rate, which I know is 12%, the interest earned in each period, and the ending balance. So let's start with the first number over here. We're going to earn interest on $10,000. That's the starting number. The interest rate we said is 12%. 12% of $10,000, the first year we earn $1,200 in interest. At the end of the year, I now have $11,200. This number becomes the beginning balance for the following year. Again, I earn 12% interest. I earn the 12% interest on the $11,200. So the second year I'm earning $1,344, leaving me with a balance of $12,544. Obviously, the same pattern is going to continue. Third year, I have $12,544 to start with. Again, the interest rate is 12%. Therefore, I have earned 1505.28 in this year, leaving me with a final balance of 14,049.28. That's at the end of the third year. Now, as I'm doing this in Excel, I can copy and paste this row, the information, down for the next 2 years or how many ever years I have this number. What I'm finally interested in is this number that I have here at the end. $10,000 has grown to $17,623.42. Again, with a spreadsheet doing these calculations, the task is only setting up the first 2 lines, and then the rest of it you can do copy and paste, so it doesn't matter how big a spreadsheet you want. Now let's see how we could use this time value of money tables given over here. The future value factor is calculated as 1 plus I raised to n. I is the interest rate, n is number of periods. So in our example, it'll be 1 plus 12%, so 1.12 raised to 5. That's the factor. So if you actually work out those numbers, 1 plus 5, I'm going to write that up over here. We have 1.12 raised to 5. The factor I come up with is 1.76234. Now I wrote a formula over here, which is 1 plus the interest rate raised to 5. It's fairly simple again. If you have a calculator doing this is not a big deal. Now the good news is these tables have already worked out the numbers. So how would I do this? So I'm looking for the factor for interest rate is 12%, number of periods is 5. So the first column has periods, so I go down and I see 5 over here, I stop here. And then I have to go up and look for the number of the interest rate. So I have up to 6%, so I go down to the next page over here, scroll down, and I come up with the 12%. Again, just look for the 5 periods, 12%. And the factor is 1.76234. That was the same number I had calculated if I did that as a formula as well. So really there's no need to do the formula as I did over here. We can just look at our table and copy the number down over here. And we can say that our number is 1.76234. I just looked up over here and I wrote that number. So how will I come out with this number? Future value equals present value times the accumulation factor. So when I put that into play over here, I have $10,000 future value equals 10,000, that's the present value, times the factor. I looked up the table and I got the factor. And when I do the multiplication, I come up with an answer that is reasonably close to how I came up with in Excel. And what you would notice over here is a slight rounding off error. Now, there's yet another way in which we can do this, and that would be using the Microsoft Excel formulas that are built in. So for the Microsoft Excel formula, you go up over here and you would type equal future value, FV. Or you could just click over here and you will see the functions that show up over here. Now in this case, what I have done is, instead of typing information over here, I have done cell referencing. So they ask you, what is the rate? So the rate, I said, look at cell B4, and in cell B4 we have 12%, so it automatically writes 0.12. Number of periods, and I wrote B5. B5 over here is 5 years. Payment, we skip this for now. And then PV is present value. Present value is in B3, which is the $10,000. And if you notice over here, I wrote it as a minus B3. Basically saying, I am giving up $10,000 right now. I'm putting it in the bank, which means I'm not going to have it. So I put that as a negative number, and it gives me the answer 17,623.41683. It keeps it to 5 decimal places. And then it rounds up over here and tells me what the answer is, the final answer. So when you look at this answer is the exact same as this which we have over here if you work up through our spreadsheet over here, because Excel is basically doing the same calculation over here. You may be off by a few cents depending on which method you use, but nothing more than a few cents. So these are different ways in which we can do this calculation. One would be you create a spreadsheet. The other is use the time value of money table. The third is use the Microsoft Excel formulas. Or you could actually type the formula and get the answer, the factor, and then use it in this step over here that we had over here, this option.